Kai Min-jun was not the type of person who expected the universe to notice him. He was a human engineer on a quiet space colony called Neo-Sol Station, a small hub of industry orbiting a pale blue planet. Most days he spent his time repairing energy cores, calibrating navigation systems, and occasionally helping with shuttle maintenance. Life was routine, predictable, and safe, something Kai secretly appreciated. He liked the quiet, the hum of machinery, and the way the stars stretched endlessly beyond the station's observation deck. But today, everything would change. It started with a soft chime on his personal console. Kai frowned. Notifications were rare. Most messages he received were simple work orders or supply requests. Yet this one had no sender. The screen flickered, and then a voice, clear and calm, spoke directly into his mind. Kai Min-jun, you have inherited the warship Eternal Dawn. Kai blinked. He leaned back in his chair. What? He muttered aloud. His coworker Jisoo, passing by with a toolbox, paused and frowned. Did you just... I don't know, Kai said, still staring at the console. It says I inherited a warship. Jisoo laughed nervously. A warship? You fix engines and circuits, Kai, not fight wars. Kai didn't laugh. He tapped the screen again, trying to make sense of the message. It contained coordinates, detailed access instructions, and a legal note from the intergalactic archives. Apparently, a distant relative or unknown benefactor had willed him the galaxy's largest warship. There were no explanations, no reasons, just the ship and the instructions to take command. Curiosity pried at him. Engineers liked puzzles, and this was the largest, most complex puzzle of his life. The coordinates led to a remote, uncharted region near the edge of known space. If he was to accept this inheritance, he had to leave Neo-Sol Station immediately. The trip was long, but the moment Kai's shuttle approached the Eternal Dawn, he felt his heart pound. The ship dwarfed everything he had ever seen. Its hull gleamed like polished obsidian, stretching for miles, with docking ports that could fit entire fleets. The bridge towered above the main body, lit with a pale blue light that seemed alive. This was no ordinary warship. It was a floating city, a monument of technology built by unknown hands, with the power to challenge entire civilizations or protect them. Kai docked carefully and stepped inside. The corridors were wide, almost cathedral-like, with smooth walls that shimmered faintly. Lights pulsed gently beneath the floor, as if guiding him forward. He wandered, eyes wide, marveling at consoles, machinery, and systems that seemed to anticipate his presence. It felt as though the ship was alive. As he reached the central chamber, a crystalline device caught his attention. It was unlike anything he had seen. Transparent and glowing faintly, it hovered above a pedestal without support. Symbols, alien and complex, rotated slowly inside the crystal. Kai approached cautiously. "What are you?" he whispered. The crystal pulsed and a soft voice filled the room. "Time awaits no one, yet it can pause for the worthy. Captain, your trial begins." Before Kai could react, the ship shuddered. Then everything outside the windows froze. Stars stopped moving, planets halted in their orbits, ships hung in space like sculptures. Even light seemed paused mid-flight, painting the frozen galaxy in a surreal, static beauty. Kai stumbled back. What just happened?" The voice spoke again, calm and patient. "The galaxy is paused. Only you may move. Only you may act." Kai's mind raced. How could time freeze? Was this some simulation? He tested it. He raised his hand and objects inside the ship responded normally. Outside, though, the galaxy remained locked in a frozen tableau. A fleet of alien warships, locked mid-battle, hovered near a burning planet. Comets hung suspended in space. Entire civilizations were frozen, unaware. Fear and excitement warred inside him. He realized the responsibility he had just inherited. This was no mere warship. It was a guardian, a device capable of controlling time itself. And he, a human engineer, was the captain. In the following hours, Kai explored further. He discovered rooms filled with alien archives, laboratories, and control centers. Screens displayed snapshots of countless worlds, their inhabitants frozen mid-action. One image showed a frozen festival on a distant planet, children reaching for glowing lanterns. Another showed a frozen courtroom with arguments suspended in mid-gesture. It was a galaxy full of life, paused at the exact moment Kai arrived. A gentle voice then introduced itself. "I am Leora, the ship's AI," it said. "I have waited for a captain capable of understanding the balance of time. You have been chosen." Kai took a deep breath. "Chosen me? Why a human?" "Humans are unpredictable," Leora replied. "Your creativity, your empathy, your ability to solve problems in ways other species cannot, these qualities make you unique." Kai felt a mix of pride and doubt. He was just an engineer, not a hero, not a commander, not a ruler of galaxies. Yet here he was, standing in the bridge of the largest warship ever created, tasked with the stewardship of an entire frozen universe. He began running diagnostics on the ship systems. They responded instantly to his touch, almost as if they were learning from him. Leora guided him, suggesting experiments with minor systems, lights, energy flow, propulsion. Each success built his confidence. Every problem solved proved that he could handle the responsibilities of the ship. Kai experimented further. He moved frozen shuttles in small bays, adjusted energy levels, and even repaired a failing drone. Everything was frozen, yet he could interact with the objects around him, fixing what needed fixing without harming anyone. He felt a thrill, a kind of joy he had never experienced in routine maintenance back on Neo Sol. Yet the weight of responsibility pressed on him. This was not a game. He could manipulate frozen systems, but one mistake could have consequences once time resumed. The galaxy in all its complexity depended on careful choices. Every civilization he saw, every life frozen in time was entrusted to his hands. As the hours passed, or was it days, Kai explored the ship further. He found a simulation room that could display frozen events in more detail. He studied entire planetary systems, understanding the mechanics of cultures, economies, and ecosystems. He realized that knowledge alone was not enough. He had to think creatively, find solutions, and act with empathy. In a moment of quiet reflection, Kai looked out at the frozen galaxy. Stars shimmered like diamonds caught in amber. Ships hovered in suspended motion. Planets glowed with halted life, and he, a single human, could move freely among them. The enormity of the task both frightened and exhilarated him. Leora's voice broke the silence. "Captain, the galaxy awaits your understanding. Patience and wisdom will guide your actions." Kai nodded, gripping the railing of the bridge. He understood something profound. He was not just inheriting a warship. He was inheriting the responsibility to protect, to preserve, and to guide. And he would do it using the qualities humans were known for: curiosity, ingenuity, and the courage to act when others could not. He felt a spark of determination. Time was frozen, yes, but he could learn, adapt, and prepare. The galaxy had given him a pause, a moment to study, to understand, to grow. And when the moment came to act, he would be ready. Kai turned back to the ship's controls. He was ready to explore every system, uncover every secret, and learn the full potential of the eternal dawn. In the silence of a frozen universe, the hum of alien machinery and the pulse of crystalline light became his companions. The adventure had just begun, and somewhere deep within him, Kai smiled. For the first time, he felt the full weight of possibility. Kai Minjun stood on the bridge of the eternal dawn, staring out at the frozen galaxy. Stars hung motionless in the black void, ships suspended in mid-battle, and planets paused in their orbits. At first, the sight terrified him, but gradually, all replaced fear. He realized that he held the most incredible power any human had ever possessed, the ability to move freely while the entire galaxy waited, frozen, for him. He did not know where to begin. The ship was massive, its systems intricate, and every panel seemed to hum with life. Leora, the ship's AI, guided him with calm patience. "Captain," she said, "before time resumes, you must understand the eternal dawn. Its systems are not like human technology. They respond to thought, to intuition, and to creativity. Your mind will be tested." Kai swallowed hard. He was an engineer, yes, but a human. How could he manage systems designed by species far older and more advanced than humanity? Yet the spark of curiosity burned within him. He walked through the corridors, touching consoles, feeling energy pulse beneath his fingers. The ship seemed to hum in response, almost as if acknowledging him as its new master. He began small. He moved frozen drones in the maintenance bay, testing their propulsion systems. They responded smoothly, gliding across the floor as though they were still alive. He adjusted energy flow to the shields, watched lights pulse in response, and calibrated propulsion thrusters for practice. Each successful experiment filled him with confidence. The ship did not resist him, it accepted him. As hours passed, Kai discovered the library of knowledge stored within the ship. Holographic displays floated in midair, showing entire civilizations, star maps, and advanced technologies. He accessed frozen events on countless worlds, an agricultural festival on Seraphis 4, a construction accident about to happen on Tayara 7, even a moment when two alien species almost went to war. All of these moments were frozen, waiting for him to understand them. Kai realized that he could intervene. Carefully, he adjusted a broken crane on Tayara 7, preventing a collapse. He repaired a failing energy generator on Seraphis 4, restoring light to a small city. Even though the inhabitants were frozen, he felt the satisfaction of helping, knowing that when time resumed, their lives would continue uninterrupted. But with every success came more questions. How far could he go? Could he change major events? Would it be safe? Leora's voice reminded him, "Captain, every action has consequence. You must act with wisdom, not impulsivity. Your decisions will echo when time flows again." Kai nodded. He understood that this was a trial, not a playground. The eternal dawn was testing him, shaping him, teaching him patience and strategy. He decided to focus on learning first, experimenting on minor problems, and observing the galaxy in detail. He spent hours, or maybe days, he could not be sure, studying alien technology. There were power systems that ran on pure quantum resonance, propulsion drives that bent space without moving mass, and artificial intelligence frameworks that adapted like living creatures. Kai touched each system carefully, noting how it responded. Sometimes lights would flicker, or a console would display strange symbols, almost as if the ship were asking him questions. In one chamber, he discovered a simulation interface. He could project frozen events in more detail, seeing entire planets and their inhabitants as if life itself were paused in a crystal sphere. Kai watched a small village on Cairo 9. Children were frozen mid-laugh, farmers mid-step. He reached out and adjusted irrigation systems that were failing, redirecting water to parched fields. Even though the villagers were frozen, Kai felt a deep satisfaction. He was helping, not harming, and learning how to wield the ship's immense power responsibly. Kai also discovered that the ship could record his actions, allowing him to observe cause and effect in the frozen world. He repaired bridges, adjusted energy grids, and even repaired minor spacecraft failures. Each experiment taught him more, not just about technology, but about systems thinking, about the subtle ways that civilizations interacted with their environment. Yet, as he explored, Kai felt a growing sense of isolation. The galaxy was silent. The stars shone, but no life moved. No voices called to him. No engines hummed in distant spaceports. He realized that he was utterly alone. He could move and act, but no one could respond. No one could see his work until time resumed. Leora noticed the change in his demeanor. "Captain," she said gently, "even in stillness you are not alone. You have the ship, you have knowledge, you have creativity. These are enough to guide you." Kai took a deep breath. He had to trust himself. Humanity had survived because of creativity, problem-solving, and resilience. Those qualities were what Leora valued. He began tackling larger challenges, ones that required careful thought. He repaired failing planetary defense grids, recalibrated communication satellites, and rerouted energy to dying colonies. With each successful action, he grew more confident, more aware of the balance between power and responsibility. Kai began experimenting with time in small ways. He found that he could pause only parts of a system while allowing other parts to function. He moved shuttles mid-flight without disturbing the larger fleet. He repaired energy cores in a frozen reactor while leaving its surrounding systems untouched. Each success taught him control, patience, and precision. As Kai worked, he noticed patterns in the frozen galaxy. There were dormant dangers, collapsed star systems, unstable planets, abandoned megastructures left by extinct civilizations. These were problems that no single species could solve alone. Yet here he was, with the eternal dawn, able to act. Slowly, Kai began to realize that his human ingenuity, combined with the ship's capabilities, could solve problems on a scale that no one else could even imagine. The ship seemed to recognize this realization. Leora's voice was pleased. "Captain, your understanding grows. You are beginning to see beyond the surface of problems to the underlying patterns. This is what sets you apart." Kai smiled faintly. For the first time, he felt a profound connection to the galaxy, not through battle, not through conquest, but through understanding and care. He was a human, yes, but humans had qualities that could shape the galaxy positively. Patience, curiosity, creativity, these were his tools. He spent time observing frozen civilizations, imagining how their lives would resume. On Scifi 4, a festival of lights was frozen mid-celebration. Kai adjusted energy levels so that lanterns would float properly when time resumed. On Cairo 9, he repaired irrigation systems and bridges. On distant colonies, he stabilized reactors and recalibrated satellites. Each action was small in isolation, but he realized that together, they could make the galaxy safer, more stable, more prepared. Even as he worked, Kai's mind raced with possibilities. Could he communicate with frozen civilizations? Could he guide them subtly without overt interference? Leora hinted at possibilities. The ship can act as a bridge between you and the galaxy. Time is paused, but knowledge can flow. Use it wisely. Kai experimented cautiously. He left subtle signs in systems: a recalibrated control panel, a repaired energy core, a small adjustment to a navigation system. When time resumed, these minor actions would appear as luck, intuition, or genius on the part of the civilizations themselves. He liked the idea. Helping without interfering directly was human ingenuity at its finest. As days passed in the frozen galaxy, Kai grew confident in his role. He no longer felt overwhelmed by the scale of responsibility. He understood that the galaxy was complex, but complexity could be managed through careful observation, experimentation, and thoughtful action. He was not just an engineer. He was a caretaker, a guardian, a problem solver. One evening, Kai stood on the bridge looking out at frozen stars. Leora's voice was quiet. "Captain, the galaxy waits for you. Not as a ruler, not as a conqueror, but as one who understands its fragility and its beauty. Continue to learn, continue to act, and you will be ready for what comes next." Kai nodded. He had learned patience. He had learned observation. He had begun to understand the immense power of the eternal dawn and the responsibility it carried. Yet he also understood something deeper. Being human was not a limitation. It was an advantage. Human ingenuity, creativity, and empathy allowed him to see solutions where others might see only problems. With renewed determination, Kai Min-jun continued his work. He repaired, he adjusted, he experimented, and he learned. The frozen galaxy was no longer intimidating. It was a classroom, a playground, a challenge to be understood. He felt alive in a way he had never felt before, and somewhere deep inside he smiled. The adventure had only begun, but he was ready. He was a human, a simple engineer, standing on the bridge of the galaxy's largest warship, moving freely while time itself waited for him. The universe was paused, but Kai was moving forward. Kai Min-jun had grown accustomed to the stillness of the frozen galaxy. Stars shimmered in the void, ships hung motionless mid-flight, and entire civilizations were suspended in their daily lives. At first, he had explored cautiously, testing small systems and learning the capabilities of the eternal dawn. Now, he was ready for larger challenges, ones that required creativity, strategy, and patience. He started by observing the galaxy as a whole. The frozen fleets of alien civilizations formed patterns, orbiting planets in silent readiness. Some ships were engaged in combat when time paused, and he could see the consequences of battles that never reached their conclusion. He realized that countless lives depended on infrastructure, energy systems, and communication networks, systems that were fragile even when frozen. Kai decided to test his control in a more complex scenario. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, he activated a planetary view of Narian 5, a planet with a thriving but unstable energy grid. The city's reactors had begun failing, frozen mid-meltdown. He studied the systems carefully, noting patterns in energy flow, pressure gauges, and reactor temperatures. Then he worked. He rerouted energy, stabilized core outputs, and repaired emergency circuits. When he finished, the reactor was secure, ready to resume operation once time flowed again. The sense of accomplishment filled him with pride. No one had trained him for this, yet his human engineering instincts, creativity, and patience allowed him to succeed. Leora observed silently, her presence gentle but constant. "Captain, your actions demonstrate foresight and ingenuity. You are beginning to understand the balance between power and responsibility." Encouraged, Kai moved on to more challenging problems. He explored a frozen star system where a massive comet was poised to crash into a planet. He had no weapons to destroy it, no fleets to redirect it, and no advanced alien systems to call upon. But he had the eternal dawn in his mind. Using the ship's manipulation of gravitational fields and energy propulsion systems, he carefully nudged the comet's trajectory, steering it safely past the planet. The frozen inhabitants would never know how close they had come to disaster, but Kai felt a quiet satisfaction. As he worked, he discovered that the galaxy held dormant dangers beyond natural disasters. Ancient, abandoned megastructures lay frozen near dying stars, their energy signatures unstable. One structure emitted strange pulses, and Kai realized it could collapse, sending waves of destruction across nearby systems once time resumed. With patience and careful analysis, he recalibrated energy flows, stabilized the structure, and prevented catastrophe. Even as he solved these problems, Kai reflected on humanity's role in the galaxy. Humans were young, unpredictable, and often underestimated. Yet their creativity, empathy, and resourcefulness were powerful. Unlike advanced alien civilizations that relied on rigid logic or immense strength, humans could think in flexible, adaptive ways. Kai realized that his uniqueness as a human was exactly why he had been chosen. He began experimenting with communication systems. Although civilizations were frozen, he could send small signals through networks, embedding subtle guidance in dormant systems. On a frozen trade station, he adjusted navigation beacons to prevent collisions. On a distant planet, he repaired environmental monitoring systems that were failing. Every adjustment was careful, small, and precise. He was shaping the galaxy without interfering directly, a silent guardian. One day, Kai noticed a frozen warship drifting toward a planet's atmosphere. It was part of a fleet engaged in battle before time froze. The ship's controls were damaged, and if left unchecked, it would crash and cause immense destruction. Kai had no weapons and no crew to operate it, but he had his engineering skills. He activated the Eternal Dawn's tractor systems, carefully stabilizing the ship and guiding it to a safe orbit. The frozen crew would awaken unharmed when time resumed. As Kai continued, he encountered moral dilemmas. On some worlds, he found frozen leaders about to make decisions that could harm millions. He could intervene, but doing so risked altering history. Leora guided him. Captain, your role is to prevent catastrophe without controlling free will. The galaxy depends on life's natural course. Only intervene when failure is certain. Kai followed her advice, learning restraint and judgment. He began prioritizing systems failure, environmental dangers, and infrastructure issues over politics or social conflicts. He realized that true guardianship was about creating conditions for civilizations to thrive, not dictating their choices. Over time, Kai's actions began to have cumulative effects. He repaired failing starports, stabilized energy networks, and even helped frozen ecosystems recover from natural disasters. On one frozen agricultural planet, he redirected water flows, repaired irrigation systems, and adjusted nutrient distribution for crops. When time resumed, the inhabitants would find their harvests abundant, unaware of the silent human who had saved them. Yet Kai also began to understand the limits of his power. The galaxy was vast, complex, and full of unknowns. Some problems required careful observation and patience. He discovered frozen rifts in space-time, dangerous anomalies that could consume entire systems. Using the Eternal Dawn, he mapped their boundaries, reinforcing containment fields and creating stabilizing energy buffers. These tasks took days of meticulous work, but he succeeded. During these long hours, Kai reflected on his own humanity. He realized that humans were not the strongest species, nor the most technologically advanced, but they had qualities that machines, aliens, and artificial intelligences often lacked: empathy, creativity, and adaptability. His success with the Eternal Dawn was proof that humans could rise to challenges that no one else could face. Kai also explored the ship itself, uncovering hidden chambers, laboratories, and control rooms. He discovered experimental systems left by past commanders, tests designed to teach insight and problem-solving. Some were puzzles, others were complex simulations. Kai approached each with curiosity and patience, learning new techniques, testing hypotheses, and expanding his understanding of the ship's capabilities. As he worked, he formed a deeper bond with Leora. The AI became more than a guide. She was a partner, offering insights, asking questions, and occasionally challenging his assumptions. Together, they navigated complex repairs, stabilized unstable systems, and experimented with minor time manipulations. Kai learned to trust both his instincts and the AI's guidance, creating a synergy that allowed him to solve problems faster and more effectively. One day, Kai encountered a frozen fleet from a species he had never seen. Their ships were massive, ancient, and damaged. The fleet's captain appeared to be initiating self-destruct protocols before time froze. Kai studied the systems carefully. He could override them, but doing so required precision and careful timing. After hours of planning, he managed to stabilize the fleet, preventing a chain reaction that could have destroyed nearby planets. The ancient technology was unlike anything he had encountered, but his human ingenuity and Leora's guidance allowed him to succeed. Kai felt a sense of pride but also humility. The galaxy was immense, filled with mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. One human could not fix everything, but one human, acting carefully, creatively, and empathetically, could make a difference. He realized that the eternal dawn had chosen him not because he was perfect, but because humans had a perspective the galaxy needed. As he moved through the frozen systems, Kai began thinking about the future. The galaxy would not remain paused forever. When time resumed, civilizations would awaken, fleets would move, and life would continue. His work would be invisible, but its effects would ripple through space and time. He understood that his actions mattered not because he sought recognition, but because they ensured survival, stability, and growth. Kai reflected on the lessons he had learned: patience, observation, creativity, empathy, and restraint. He had solved technical problems, prevented disasters, and stabilized unstable systems. He had interacted with civilizations he would never meet and influenced outcomes without ever forcing his will. He had begun to understand the true power of being human. By the end of his explorations in this frozen galaxy, Kai stood on the bridge once more, looking out at the silent stars. The galaxy was vast, beautiful, and fragile. He had made a difference, but there was still so much to learn. He knew that when time resumed, the universe would move forward and he would be ready for the challenges ahead. Leora's voice filled the bridge. "Captain, you have proven your worth. You have learned patience, creativity, and responsibility. The galaxy awaits your continued guidance. Your journey is far from over." Kai smiled. He had grown from a simple engineer on a quiet station to a guardian of a frozen galaxy. He had faced problems no human had ever imagined, solved challenges no one else could, and learned the depth of human ingenuity. He understood now that his actions mattered, not because he was powerful, but because he was human. The frozen galaxy stretched before him, waiting. Kai Min-jun was ready. He would continue his work, repair, stabilize, and guide. The eternal dawn was his, and with it, the galaxy had a human at its helm. The adventure was far from over, but Kai was no longer afraid. He had learned the power of patience, creativity, and empathy. He had discovered that humans, even in a galaxy of advanced civilizations, had unique strengths that could shape the universe. And so, Kai moved forward, exploring, repairing, learning, and preparing. Time may have been frozen, but the human engineer at the helm of the galaxy's largest warship was very much alive and very much in control. Kai Min-jun stood on the bridge of the eternal dawn, gazing out at the frozen galaxy. Countless stars shone in silence, ships hung motionless, and planets glimmered like jewels locked in time. For days he could not be certain how long. He had worked tirelessly, repairing failing systems, stabilizing frozen worlds, and ensuring that civilizations would awaken unharmed. Now, a new realization weighed on him. Time could not stay frozen forever. The eternal dawn hummed beneath his feet, its systems alive and responsive. Leora's voice was calm and steady. "Captain, you have mastered the ship, stabilized countless systems, and demonstrated wisdom beyond measure. The galaxy will soon resume its natural flow. You must choose whether to remain its silent guardian indefinitely or to allow life to continue." Kai's mind raced. The power to pause time, to intervene and prevent disasters, was extraordinary. He could remain in control forever, ensuring that every civilization, every star system, every life was safe. Yet, the thought of an unchanging galaxy, frozen in perfect stasis, troubled him. Life, he realized, was meant to move, to grow, to face challenges. Without time, there would be no creativity, no choices, no true freedom. He walked through the ship's corridors, observing the systems he had repaired. On Scifi 4, the festival lanterns he had adjusted would float perfectly when time resumed. On Cairo 9, the irrigation systems he had fixed would bring abundant harvests. Distant fleets, once frozen in combat, now rested in stable orbits. Every action he had taken was ready to manifest once life returned to motion. Kai considered the galaxy's inhabitants. They had lived, fought, and dreamed before time froze. They would continue to do so, and he had ensured that their worlds were safe and stable. But if he kept time paused, no one would move, no one would learn, and no one would grow. It was tempting to stay in control, but he knew it would be wrong. Humanity, and all species, deserved the chance to shape their own destinies. He returned to the bridge and activated a full-view hologram of the galaxy. Every system he had touched glowed faintly, a testament to his careful work. Leora's voice spoke again, softer this time. "Captain, the galaxy trusts you. You have demonstrated patience, ingenuity, and empathy. You understand the responsibility of power. What will you choose?" Kai took a deep breath. His mind flashed back to Neo-Sol Station, to the quiet hum of engines and the gentle flicker of stars outside his window. He remembered why he had become an engineer, not for glory, but for the satisfaction of solving problems, of making life better, of creating order from chaos. That same drive had guided him through the frozen galaxy. He realized that his role was not to dominate, but to protect and prepare. He had stabilized systems, repaired structures, and prevented disasters, giving civilizations the opportunity to thrive. Now it was time to let life continue, to trust in the resilience and ingenuity of others, just as humanity had shown in his own life. Kai moved to the central console. His hands hovered over the activation controls that would resume time. He felt a weight settle in his chest, a mixture of responsibility, anticipation, and hope. He glanced at Leora. "Are we ready?" he asked. "Yes, Captain," she replied. "You have prepared the galaxy as best as possible. Time can resume without danger. Your actions will be preserved, but the natural flow of life must continue." Kai nodded and pressed the controls. A gentle pulse of energy spread through the eternal dawn, cascading outward into the frozen universe. Stars shimmered, ships moved, and planets resumed their orbits. Light flowed naturally again, painting space with color and motion. Kai watched as civilizations awakened, unaware of the invisible hand that had safeguarded them. On Scifi 4, the festival lanterns floated gracefully into the sky, as if guided by some unseen force. On Cairo 9, farmers tended their fields, finding the irrigation systems working perfectly. Ships resumed their flights, fleets moved with renewed purpose, and entire ecosystems thrived once more. Every life that Kai had touched continued as though nothing had ever stopped them. The bridge was alive with the hum of energy and motion. Kai felt a sense of quiet triumph. He had chosen to trust the galaxy, to allow life to continue its unpredictable course, and in doing so, he had proven the true strength of being human. It was not power or dominance that mattered, it was creativity, empathy, and the courage to make the right choice. Leora spoke again, her tone warm and proud. "Captain, your actions have shaped the galaxy without controlling it. You have ensured safety, stability, and opportunity while allowing freedom and growth. This is the mark of a true guardian." Kai smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. He had inherited the galaxy's largest warship, faced challenges no human had ever imagined, and discovered the power within himself to make a difference. He had learned patience, restraint, and the importance of empathy. Most importantly, he had realized that humans, even in a galaxy of advanced civilizations, had unique strengths that could guide the universe in ways others could not. As he gazed at the galaxy, Kai felt a quiet resolve. The eternal dawn was no longer just a ship. It was a partner, a tool, and a testament to human ingenuity. And he, a human engineer, was its captain. He knew that adventures awaited, challenges yet to come, but he felt ready. The galaxy had trusted him, and he would continue to honor that trust. For the first time since boarding the ship, Kai allowed himself a moment of reflection. He thought about the quiet life he had left behind on Neo-Sol Station, about the hum of machinery, the stars stretching beyond the observation deck, and the satisfaction of solving problems with his own hands. Those simple joys had prepared him for this moment, the moment where he had guided the fate of countless worlds without ever controlling them directly. The galaxy pulsed with life, vibrant and unpredictable. Kai knew that it would face challenges, conflicts, and crises. Yet he also knew that the inhabitants of this universe were capable, resilient, and inventive. Humanity had survived countless trials not because of strength alone, but because of ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability. Kai had seen those same qualities in himself, and now he had extended them across the frozen galaxy. He walked through the corridors of the eternal dawn, feeling the pulse of energy beneath his feet. Every system he had repaired, every anomaly he had stabilized, and every disaster he had prevented now contributed to the flow of life. The galaxy moved freely, yet Kai's influence would be felt in subtle ways, as small acts of engineering, adjustment, and care continued to shape civilizations. As the eternal dawn glided silently through active space, Kai considered his next steps. He could explore distant systems, investigate ancient ruins, or assist civilizations in subtle, constructive ways. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and opportunities, and he had the tools, the knowledge, and the creativity to explore them. Yet Kai also understood that his greatest contribution was not the technology or the repairs. It was the choice to trust life itself. He had paused time, acted with care, and then allowed the natural flow of events to continue. That choice, he realized, was the essence of true leadership. It was not about control, but about guidance, protection, and faith in the potential of others. From the bridge, Kai looked out at the stars. The galaxy was alive again, vibrant and full of motion. Ships sailed, planets rotated, and civilizations resumed their stories. He smiled, feeling the quiet satisfaction of a job well done, but also the anticipation of adventures yet to come. The eternal dawn was ready, and so was he. Leora spoke softly, almost like a whisper among the hum of the ship. "Captain, you have proven that even a single human can make a difference on a cosmic scale. Your actions have ensured that the galaxy thrives, yet remains free to grow. This is your legacy." Kai nodded. He had inherited more than a ship. He had inherited responsibility, trust, and an understanding of what it truly meant to be human. The galaxy would remember him not as a conqueror or ruler, but as a guardian, a problem solver, and a force of quiet ingenuity. With that thought, Kai returned to the bridge console. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, a canvas of stars, planets, and civilizations ready to continue their stories. Time had resumed, life had awakened, and the universe was moving forward. Kai Min-jun, human engineer and captain of the Eternal Dawn, smiled. The adventure had only just begun. He had faced frozen worlds, repaired broken systems, and guided countless lives without ever imposing his will. Now he would explore, learn, and protect, always using the strengths that made humans unique: creativity, empathy, and courage. The stars glittered in response, the galaxy moved in motion, and Kai felt alive in a way he had never known. He had inherited the galaxy's largest warship, faced the pause of time itself, and emerged wiser, stronger, and ready for what lay ahead. In the silence of space, amidst the hum of advanced machinery and the brilliance of countless stars, Kai knew one truth: humans had a place in the galaxy, not through dominance, but through ingenuity, empathy, and the courage to make the right choice. And he would continue to prove it, one act of creativity, one solved problem, and one careful decision at a time. The universe awaited him, and Kai Min-jun was ready.